Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
Back at you with Gloves Off, and I'm here with Dr. Tyler King, and he's a candidate for City Council District 6 of Laredo, and we're just going to touch base of why he's running, why now, and what are his ideas about becoming a City Council member of Laredo.
Yes, sir. Hey,
how you
good to meet you.
Doc, you doing good?
Doing great, yeah. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming out. And number one, thanks for putting your name on the dotted line, and we'll see why.
Yeah.
You know, it's very few. Everybody wants to be a public official, but it takes very few that's going to sign their name on that line. Yeah. And that takes courage. Okay. Well, that takes courage. And
courage or foolishness, I'm not sure.
or a little bit of both. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
It's why would you do that? You know, you're a doctor. You're young. You're inspiring. You're working. Mm-hmm. Why go into?
Yeah, I think I have to go back to my childhood. I was born. My parents were 17 years old when they had me. My dad was inner city kid. Really grew up really poor in a very small home with a huge family, and then my mom. Grew up, she was on the other side of town. She was from the rich private school. Dad is a physician. They connected somehow in high school. My dad worked at Taco Bell probably before he was eligible of age. And, they had me in high school, sweetheart, whoopsie. And, it took a village to raise, my parents did an amazing job given they were 17. But my mom's parents were a huge part of raising me as well. And like I said, granddad was a physician. My grandma was a political junkie. She just loved those two influences early on. I was always impacted by that, and I always had passions for both politics and medicine. So much so that in college, my degree is in political science and government. So that's what I studied, and I took the prerequisites to go to medical school because I couldn't decide between medicine and law at the time. And then ultimately, I got recruited by Teach for America to go teach high school history I moved from Tennessee to South Texas. I moved to McAllen in 2012, and I was a high school history teacher during those 4 years. Fell in love with South Texas, fell in love with a girl from Monterrey, Mexico, Alejandra. And so I've always had, and I worked on campaigns back in Tennessee. I've always been involved with advocacy, even as a teacher. While I was in medical school, I was going to DC, to state capitals to advocate for the future of family medicine. And so I've always been in advocacy. So you have that, and medicine and advocacy have gone hand in hand in that sense. And then since coming to Laredo, I have seen that there's a lot of great people here in Laredo. We love Laredo. We're planning to raise our daughter here for the rest of our lives and set up home here, but we're just not satisfied with the direction that our city leadership's gone. And back in February, with the 2-week water bowl crisis that we had, that was kind of the icing on the cake for me, and I knew I wanted to get involved. And I thought initially it would just be volunteering on a campaign, and then it turned into me being a candidate. So, yeah.
No, that's a good reason, and we've had a lot of problems. We have some good people inside council right now, but this administration, it's always leadership, and the leader is the mayor. And this administration, just like a president, has blown us apart. You know what I'm saying? And over here in Laredo, it's the same thing that's happening right now. And And if Trump will be doing the same thing, I'll be nagging on him.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So it really doesn't matter. But
The buck stops here.
Yeah. So the leader is a mayor, and ever since he went in, there was always not a care really for Laredo. Yes, Laredo was there, but it was more like, let's help our neighbors and not help Laredoans. Let's help our neighbors and not help Laredoans. There was a project they wanted to do with some kind of $12 million to put around the Mercadito across for us to go over there and be in safety, but yet they were advocating no wall, so it just didn't match, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're like, then I don't buy it. So that project didn't go through. So you see a lot of little things in there, and you start seeing Laredo being kind of torn down, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been here? You've probably been here since COVID, so probably a couple years.
Yeah, you know what? I moved here in April of 2020, so right in the middle of COVID. The beginning of COVID, I drove from Memphis, Tennessee to Laredo, Texas, and I didn't see one traffic light. I didn't see one car. It was during lockdown, actually. So I drove through Dallas, Austin, San Antonio without stopping at a red light. It was a pretty surreal thing, and I started right away and jumped into the Laredo medical community in the midst of a pandemic, and there we've seen our peaks and valleys. And the first year here was primarily obviously focused on getting accustomed to Laredo, fighting a pandemic. But as time gone on and during our downs, I was able to learn more about Laredo, read up the history of Laredo, and started paying more attention to what was going on. And like I said, just haven't been satisfied with our leadership. So
Yeah, and it's like that. It's funny that you said you were driving down the highway. I remember when the pandemic first hit, they put a picture of The Walking Dead in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Then they put a picture of Atlanta the way it was. The only thing that they missed was, I guess, the actor on the horse that was walking in there. And it was like, it was scary. It was scary. It was frightening. It was something now that, what was it for? I saw what CDC came out in August of 11th of this year, that now if you have COVID, don't wear masks, don't even go to quarantine, don't do anything like this. What was it all for? You know what I'm saying? If they knew this now, they probably knew it then. I don't know. Well, just leave it aside. It's already happened. Let's move forward. We can't dwell in the past, only that it did try to destroy a lot of small businesses, and I'm pretty shy. My father's a physician,
mm-hmm.
and I'm not going to be candid about it. I'm just going to be straightforward. And I saw true colors emerge out of the pandemic. I saw the way the police treated people. I saw the way our inspectors treated people, small business owners, and I saw the way the physicians treated them. Had 175 physicians wanted to close everything down when the actual numbers were coming out of illegals that were being housed in holding and so on and so forth. So, we have to really buckle ourselves down. So I'm kind of like, really, guys, and most of them I do know who came out in there. And I was kind of just ashamed they were that, because all the small businesses have always
mm-hmm.
gone to the local physicians, let's always keep a buck here. And now I'm kind of like, should we have done that? Should we do that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I guess what one of the congressmen said, what the pandemic brought out was greed and grifters we still have now, so unfortunately that's just the way it is, but not in comparison with you, I'm just saying it in general.
Right.
How are you taking your campaign and say, you know what, this is the main change that I want to do? You said the water board. This is the main change, and I want to change it in this direction. I want to impact it this way. How would you do that?
Yeah. So I just want to make water our number one priority, in the sense, not that we're not going to focus on everything else, but one of the fundamental things a city should do is public utilities and public safety. That's the fundamental core of a city government. And clearly, water has been the can has been kicked down the road for far too long. So 30% of our water infrastructure is 50 years old or older. So obviously this has been going on for decades. We have decades of kicking the can down the road. So finally putting water, every single city council meeting, water should be on the agenda.
Absolutely.
There shouldn't be a meeting that goes by without it being addressed, and getting that long-term plan cemented, and a sustainable long-term plan, because the river is our only source of drinking water. It's our number one and only source of drinking water. It's slated to dry up in about 17 years, in the sense that, when I say dry up, I mean it won't be flowing at a rate that feeds the current 6 million people that it currently feeds along the border. So we have to be doing everything we can to preserve the river, to get rid of the invasive species, and that increases evaporation of the water. Of course, we're struggling with 115-degree heat. That doesn't help either. There's things we can do to help there. And then looking for alternative sources, whether that be the water beneath our feet, finding ways to recycle wastewater. We have to be planning for that, because we have 17 years or less to prepare for that moment.
Absolutely.
So that's what I want the council to be focused on. All the other things, like the sports complexes and all that, I'm not against those things. They shouldn't supersede our number one priority, which is water. And then of course we get to quality of life. In District 6, we have a lot. Of. It appears very nice. There's a lot of nice homes, but there's still not a lot to do, and that's why people feel like they need to go to San Antonio or somewhere else to do anything fun on the weekend. So we got to find ways to make our community feel vibrant and feel, like they have a city, not just a city of homes. Which, hey, I love my carne asada. Don't get me wrong, but we got to have a little bit more to provide people, especially if we're going to be recruiting new physicians, new nurses to the area. So,
all that is great. I like what you're saying, but I'm gonna bring it in this focus. We're not business friendly. We're not small business friendly. Mm-hmm. And 2020 proved it. 2021 enhanced it.
Oh yeah.
And the reason I say that is, if you're going to open up a new business, it's going to take you to get temporary light. It's going to take you anywhere between 20 to 30 days.
Right, and the certificates of occupancy.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And all that's going to take you 60 days, and so on and so forth. I mean, I don't know what's happening, to the point is that you have that small business owner already paying 2 months, and he still hasn't started making money. Yeah. So
there's not a customer service mentality. The people at the city think that you owe them something.
Absolutely.
But
that's
the fact
what I'm going
is,
to get at.
They work for us. They should be saying, thank you, yes, how can I help you? But that's not the type of service we're getting right now.
You know why? Because we've never culled out the bad. When we have in the last decade, probably in the last 15 years more, we have started enhancing the failures to prosper in a better position. Mm-hmm. You were failing in this department, all of a sudden now you're an assistant director of this department. Mm-hmm. There's double spending. We can talk about that. There's overspending. There's the small business friendly in Laredo. It's not there.
Yeah.
They lost it. We're in a recession right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, a lot of people they just changed the name and the definition for recession, and so
I saw that.
You see that?
Yeah.
So when we start looking at stuff like that, and you start listening to everybody starts saying the ABCs of decay. And I'll say this openly all the time now, it's because, and we've seen in Laredo, we see the A for arrogance, B for bureaucracy, and C for complacency. We have public officials that have become too arrogant for their own good. Mm-hmm. They're getting an extra paycheck, getting money, mm-hmm. See the blind side. I really don't need to do that. Listen, I know more than you because I'm sitting up here. No, you don't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
The bureaucracy that's there, you see it with opening up a small business, opening up a new business. Instead of it diminuing from 20 days, it should be 7 days maximum. Mm-hmm. It's getting worse.
Yeah.
too much bureaucracy.
For sure.
And then the last one's complacency. Okay, let it go. What you're seeing with the water, what you're seeing with the roads, what you're seeing with that type of...
Let me just try to get
Understand
elected.
what I'm saying?
Let me just get reelected, and then...
Yeah, we'll
you
see
know,
that,
it's-
I'm for this year, the person that comes out and says, you know what, I want term limits, let's go 4 years. If you can't fix it in 4 years, what you know in your area, you don't know how many sidewalks there is, speed bumps, fire hydrants that don't work, new businesses that are going forward, traffic lights that don't work. If you can't do that in 4 years, you don't need 8 more years.
Yeah.
That just proved myself that you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Let somebody else come in and handle that.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Right now, we need that, and I'm not saying, it's a bad issue because you guys are going in new on, but it's something that needs to happen. We have to do it now. I mean, we got people in there that could care less about being in there. You see them in the meetings. They're texting.
Yeah, that's
They're walking out.
disrespectful.
They're disrespectful.
Yeah.
One of them got chewed out by the city attorney that was only here for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. We had 5 city managers, and who knows how many city attorneys.
Yeah.
I mean,
'Cause no one
under
wants
what
to
under one mayor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. No one. And I don't know if we want to blame it all on his
Well, it's
feet, but
it's
as you
leadership.
said, yeah.
Leadership. That's
But
it.
the point is, no good quality city manager, city attorney wants to work for a council that is not giving them the room and the support to do their job.
Absolutely.
The right
And-
way. That's why no one wants no good. Well, I think this time, hopefully, if depending on if they wait or not, I think any manager coming into this situation probably wants to wait until after the November election before they get hired, right? Because it's just like a head football coach for a college. Okay, you want the new athletic director to hire you. You don't want the outgoing athletic director to hire you. Then the president hires a new athletic director, and you're first on the chopping block. So I think any city manager applicant probably wants to wait for the new city council to be elected in November for that city council to hire them. So I think it'll be hard to get a good city manager hired before November. So hopefully we have 5 spots up for districts 1, 2, 3, 6, and mayor. So that's 5 new potential people.
Absolutely.
that
And
will be on the
it
council.
can change it. You know what I'm hearing now? Some business owners saying, you know what, if so-and-so goes in, I'm not gonna open my second gym, I'm not gonna open my second restaurant. I'm gonna close this one, and I'm gonna move to San Antonio. I'm gonna move to McAllen. It's better business friendly over there. If these people go in, we're moving.
Yeah, I've seen
And-
that in McAllen. I lived there for 4 years,
And
and
a lot of people from here moving over there, and then you see that, you hear that, you're like, really?
mhm.
But there's a lot of issues that are going wrong that people don't want to face it, and they just kind of like, look at me now, look at the cutting, I'm cutting this ribbon of this new park. I mean,
Because in Laredo, it's just Laredo. There's no competition. The city can just say, oh, you don't like it? Then leave. And then unfortunately, people actually leave because they're arrogant and think that they won't leave. But then the people do, and they're like, oh, well, we lost out on that.
yeah,
And that's not just the business itself, it's obviously the tax revenue that could come from that and the growth that could come from that. So yeah.
no, it's like, we said it a little earlier, let's not blame it. He's a leader right now.
Yeah.
And I know him very well, and I have a lot of respect for him. But right now, I mean, he lost the court. There's no decorum in there.
Yeah.
You have activists and watchdog groups coming in there barking at all of them, and nobody does a damn thing about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the decorum of the city council has been lost
Mhm.
under this one. Before at least there was some precedence. It's like this. I've trained a lot of people that become Golden Gloves champions,
Mhm.
both regional, state, national champions and so on, international champions and so on. And when they lose, guess who they blame?
Yeah.
The one that trained them.
Yeah, just like
You know what I'm saying? But when they win, they don't say thank you for training my son or thank you for training my husband. They learned it from their mom while they were suckling on their breast. You know what I'm saying? Who taught them? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So one learns to be that way. You're the one that led them up there. You're the one that took them up there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you went down. You're the one that's going to be getting smoke.
Yeah, no.
And that's just the way it is. And
it's just like, I mean, when I was a high school history teacher for 4 years, if my students didn't do well in the STAR exam, that was on me. That was, luckily my students did very well, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the buck stops here, and we do have a pretty weak mayor system where since 1978, after after the change of government, we've weakened the mayor's role to basically almost ceremonial role in nature. There's a ninth city council member for breaking ties, so that probably leads to it being harder to have that iron fist, because what do you have with that?
no, but
you can always have better leadership, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking around your area, what is needed?
We need traffic calming measures. We have way too many wrecks along the loop, even in McPherson and Del Mar. I think in a matter of 1 week there were 3 wrecks right along McPherson and Country Club, and they're bad wrecks, and we have a lot of issues with that. Obviously, potholes. A lot of these neighborhoods are starting to get in that 20-30 year age range, and we're starting to see the result of that. We have to be preparing for that, fixing a lot of potholes that are about to come, and lighting as well is a big one. There's certain streets that don't have the LED lights yet, and you can notice a big difference from a safety standpoint. And those are kind of like the traditional city things that need to get fixed. But we also just need more things to do. Things like an outdoor amphitheater for concerts. Outdoors might need to be at night, given our heat. And we need more covered green spaces. So North Central Park's amazing, but it's a huge, mostly open area without any. There's a basketball court, that's covered.
A couple little pavilions here and there, yeah.
But a very small pool. We also don't have a rec center in District 6. Everyone said, oh, well, District 6 has it well off. They have the country club. Sure. But most of District 6, 90% are not members of the country club. And paying $50-$60 a month for Golds or another gym, not everybody, has the money for that either. So, I know rec centers are expensive, and I know they're to build and to maintain and pay for staff. But there's Faskin over there in District 7. There's Haynes. There's a lot of rec centers throughout the city. But if you live in the north, you're going to drive 20 minutes, to be able to get to one. So that's a 40-minute round trip for a family after school. That's kind of tough. So,
I see that, and I see that throughout the whole thing. And we have a lot of rec centers here, and they're not being run properly. That's another department. Mm-hmm. I mean, we really have to start culling off the old and the ones that do not produce, and let's start moving it forward. We have a lot of talent here, and we're losing it because of that.
Yeah, brain drain.
And we're losing it for the jobs other cities are offering, and we don't have that here. Like, once again, now they want to bring in this white elephant, which is what is it? It's not 200 million now. It's 500 million, 1 billion. That binational park over there. That what's it for? What's its purpose?
Yeah, I mean, with that, I think we should. I could care less about a park. But any of the work that they're going to be able to do that's water preservation and river preservation, I'm all for. But I want to see where the money is going to come from. And
there's a lot of stories, Doctor. There's some stories that it's going to be federal, that Mexico's going to put half, and the United States is going to put the rest, and but Mexico's never helped us anywhere. So
Yeah, we need
you
a
know,
firm,
you know what I'm saying?
We need a firm commitment from the Mexico side, because one thing that could be great is if Nuevo Laredo can stop dumping those millions of gallons of pollutants into our river every year, because that makes our job harder on our side. So if we can actually hold Mexico accountable, hold Nuevo Laredo accountable on that deal. They've made that commitment, I think a $50-60 million commitment, but now it's a matter of making sure we hold them accountable for that.
But then other than that, you need Acuñas and you need Piedras Negras and you need all the other ones, Juárez, to do the same thing.
Yeah.
All everybody else, because they all come from those areas.
Mhm.
It's one thing. Believe me, preservation and all that. I'm all for that.
Mhm.
I'm the number one person that's going to say let's do it, but I'm also the number one person that's going to say safety.
Yeah.
And right now we have a hazard right now, and I understand we live in the best country in the world, and I understand why people are coming over here and flooding over here, but we need security.
Yeah.
We don't have it.
And one thing with that project they've talked about is, clear. I know Border Patrol. One of the main things they care about is line of sight and clearing out the invasive species that also affect the water, but also can make it easier for the Border Patrol to see. And there should be more lighting, that can hopefully help, because at night that's when all the crossings tend to happen, or at night. So if we can increase lighting. But I don't, I know the numbers have been all over the place, 300 million, 400 million. And originally the thought was the federal government could pay for it. And because there's about $2 billion that's kind of held up. And it's unclear whether or not that was originally intended for a border wall.
Which would help us a lot better than that.
And so we're still waiting to see on that. And then if not, there's, I know Ambassador Salazar is on the U.S. Ambassador to Mexico has been, pushing it, but we got to make sure that the Laredo taxpayers don't have to be footing the bill for a project that will benefit more than just, if it went through and it went through well, it could benefit more than just Laredo. So Laredoans shouldn't have to be, and at least Laredoans should have the option, to vote on that.
And that's what's happening. And if you go against it, you're a bigot. And if you do this against it, you're a bigot. And if you do this, you're a hater. No, but listen. Right now we have what's that drug that's killing everybody? Phenethyl.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the Border Patrol was saying, you know what? We've got people with bags, and just one of those bags could kill the population of Texas. And they're coming across here like if it's nothing. And we need security, unless you're for overdosing somebody. You know what I'm saying?
No, there's
you know what I'm saying? Unless you're for sex trafficking and human trafficking, build a park. Because I've heard a lot of things about the park, Doctor. I've heard a lot of things about the park, that there's walkways and to Mexico, and they can come across anytime they want, and we can go across anytime they want. Where's the security there? And so and they say one thing and others say another thing, and then, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of questions that have not been answered. There's a lot of issues that are not there, but that's what needs to be done. And unfortunately, to me, it just looks like a huge grift. There's going to be a lot of people getting paid some good money, and we're still going to be having a problem there. And the problem is security.
Yeah.
We all have bad neighbors. We all have good neighbors.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Nuevo Laredo is a bad neighbor. I'm not saying Mexican people, but I'm saying Nuevo Laredo is a bad neighbor. Why? You have a full-blown war over there going on. Cartels and drugs and everything, and nobody seems to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think.
I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth.
Yeah, I think the Mexican federal government, the current president of Mexico, I don't think he's put border security from his side at the top of his priority list. And I think the people of Nuevo Laredo, all of Tamaulipas, have suffered because
Yes.
because that president is not from the north. He's from central or southern Mexico, and his voters are all in the south of Mexico. The people in northern Mexico can't stand their current president,
Yeah.
and so he doesn't put enough attention on them.
And believe me, I'm 100% for legal immigration. I'm 100% for people if you need help and refugees. We're legally, let's do it. Let's help you all out. That's what. But I'm against human trafficking. I'm against drugs.
Of course.
I'm against that type of violence that goes on. Why? Because it drifts off here. We've had up in the last year, since January of last year to the present, year and a half. We've had an upsurge in kids that can drive, and they're being caught at the border patrol stations because they're crossing illegals in their cars, trying to make an extra buck. You know, so they've aided with this activism. They've aided in making our young kids coyotes and mules. You know what I'm saying? And we should stop that. I mean, that's number one. I mean, why? And now and it's something that we're facing now, and that needs to be stopped. That needs to be addressed. Listen, like I said again, parks and stuff, let's secure it first. One of the most dangerous parks is the one in New York. So you know what I'm saying. So
yeah, you don't necessarily have to have a.
You know what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I would like to see more about how the project's going to be funded. Like I said,
the purpose
the
of it.
actual calling it like the park itself is my least priority. It's but anything within the project that can be towards water preservation, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be just the Laredo, because it's not affecting just Laredo. So it should be something that we get a lot of different sources of funding for.
You know, they've talked. They want to, and they're convoluting it with Zacate Creek, making it a river walk. I'm for making Zacate Creek a river walk, like in San Antonio. Let's do that. 100%. That's already here. It goes to the river. We can have a nice bank. Maybe race it for them to look up, but not 600. What is that? 1,000 acres, 6.5 miles of pure happiness for smugglers. I mean, it's not.
It has to be, if it's going to be done, it has to be done with border security and with Border Patrol on board the entire way, approving every inch of that 6.5 miles. If that's happening, Border Patrol needs to...
Not just Border Patrol.
Yeah.
I think our Congress and our military experts have to say, you know what, yay or nay.
Yeah, I mean...
you know what I'm saying?
A bunch of
you know, nay or nay. Is that secured? Can this lead to something else that a lot of people are talking about? If it can, no.
Yeah, because I mean,
security-wise for the United States, no.
Even if it doesn't affect security, people aren't going to want to go if they're afraid that it's not secure. So, if you get Border Patrol and the military, as many people as possible on there saying yes, this is safe. Yes, this, and going list by list.
Sure.
You know, because otherwise, even if the park isn't dangerous, people aren't going to go if they don't feel it's safe. So,
absolutely.
Some people are too afraid to go to the outlets.
No. I mean, you're right. I mean, it's well, that's just the way it is. I'm not against it. I'm for it. But let's come down to some reasoning. You know, there's a lot of out there. Let's talk about something else besides the park.
Oh, sure.
How would you start? What are your ideas of starting to bring in big manufacturing jobs? What are you going to start looking for that? Because that's where
we're not a maquiladora town like Reynosa, McAllen, and like Matamoros, Brownsville. You know, we're a trade town, which is amazing. But why not add more manufacturing?
Before we had that, all of a sudden, for the last 20 years before that, you had a lot of maquiladoras. Everybody was here because of the maquiladoras, and all of a sudden you started getting. The underworld started taking over, and all of a sudden that started stopping. Again, they benefited from it, we lost from it, but yet, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have to protect our own. Mm-hmm. That's the way I look at it. If we have a thief, we have to find the thief and we protect it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If we have a bunch of thieves that are very aggressive thieves, and tell people, oh, you all are going to have to protect it. No, you have to protect your own. You have to make sure that that's secure. That's the way I look at things.
Yeah. So I want to work with all partners from the trucking industry to the forwarders to the bringing in people from McAllen and Reynosa and figuring out, how are they doing it so well? How come everyone wants to go through them now when we have the number one land import? So that would obviously take that would be a city, state, federal, plan to be able to get that done. But there's no reason why we shouldn't have manufacturing jobs here as well. We have a median income of $35,000 with a above average or out of proportion average cost of living. Like our cost of living compared to McAllen is much higher from some of our taxes.
That's another thing that people are complaining about.
So you have a really bad situation where our cost of living is higher, our median income is lower. So how are you going to get people to come here without good paying jobs? I mean,
here's something that I'm always having events, not only for Savad. I've been involved with that because I needed to develop and continue moving forward. Not only martial arts events for Savad, people come in from all around, all the time. Okay, I was going to bring in a keynote speaker that's very, very popular, and I talked to the company that actually set you speaking. It's it wasn't going to be $5,000 discharge. It was going to, and he goes, you know what? Usually people that go there, it's about 20,000. 10,000 people minimum. Usually, that's what we're looking at. There's a lot of people that follow him when he tours, and they go to the thing, and he goes, "We'll get back to you in a week." Okay. Sure enough, they called me up and they said, "Paul, you're in Laredo, Texas." He goes, "You have an airport that American Airlines cancels flights about anywhere between 4 to 9 per week. You have United that cancels at least 6 less than American Airlines. You don't have the hotel capacity, and you don't have a place to rent it unless it's the arena. And the arena, it can be done, but you don't have the hotel space now. Why? Because everything is booked because of the National Guard.
Yeah.
And okay, we did a study. People don't want to go there because they think Laredo's dangerous because of what's happening in the border. But if you would like to associate yourself with a person that's having it at Dallas, you can join forces and you can split the costs. Now, I'll let you all know about it. Thank you so much. This happens.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we have an airport that does that. We need to start negotiating. We need people that know how to negotiate.
Yeah.
Understand what I'm saying?
I do.
And right now it's going back. You have a lot of CEOs that are renegotiating with their employers and employees, and those and they're coming back and they're saying that this is how much we can do it, because we're going down right now. It's a recession.
Yeah.
And we have to start doing that throughout the board.
Yeah, and also attacking the perception that Laredo is not safe. Now we can agree that there's dangers.
In Laredo, but Laredo
is a very, very safe place to live. It's a great place to raise a family, and unfortunately, other forces have made it seem like we're just a war zone, throughout the day. So it's that's an unfortunate thing that we can do more to show ourselves, but also those watching from the outside that that we are safe and that we have a lot to offer. So
all in all, those are the things. Those are key points that one looks at, and one sometimes doesn't think about it when it's running.
Yeah. And
once they're in there, if you approach some of the people that are in there, they think that you're, they assume now, even though they assume that just because they got elected, now their IQ's higher. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like your ABCs. I'm gonna the arrogance, the bureaucracy, complacency. That's very good. And I think anyone who gets into office should have the humility to say, I don't know. Just like in the medical world, if a patient comes to me and they have all these crazy symptoms and they're like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me, doctor? I'm going to tell them, I don't know right now. You know, and I think that's the humility that more, you know, public servants or self-serving servants.
That's exactly self-serving.
Yeah.
We don't need self-serving. You know, there's a saying in Spanish: "Vives para servir, si no, no sirves para vivir."
Exactly.
Okay.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, a lot of people, they're, as it's called, in on the take. You know, they're there to benefit themselves. They need the job because they don't have any other livelihood. Which I don't want to say you should have a X number of salary, or you know, to be able to you know, anyone should run for office, and that's why I understand why there is a small salary, you know, given to a city council member for someone who maybe doesn't have another job. But I don't think it should be a requirement that you don't have a job to get on city council. Our founding fathers, you know, were physicians, lawyers, engineers, you know, inventors, and they created a good country. They were balanced, you know. So I know people are going to say, you know, oh, another physician, maybe he's not going to have enough time for me. I want to make everyone clear that, you know, I'm going to be joining a physician group, and I have my contract with the residency program for the next 10 months that I have to finish until, and then after that I'll be joining a group of some sort so that they can cover for me. If elected, they can cover for me when needed. And I'm aware that a city council member is on call 24/7. You know, and you know, which is something we're used to in the medical field anyway. But I'm going to make sure my schedule is reasonable, where I'm seeing, you know, maybe 20 patients a day. I'm not going to be seeing 80, 90 patients a day, like some people do around here. You know, I'm going to, if I were to be fortunate enough to be elected, I'm going to actually be able to give the time that's needed, you know, for the job. I know that's a question I get a lot. I just want to make sure that's clear.
No, and you know, basically is, if once you're elected, let's say you get elected, and you go in there, just remember what you said. Remember those ABCs.
Yeah. No, I like it. I'm going to carry that around. I like that a lot.
And you know, the time's up, and we have a great conversation. There's a lot of stuff that we can talk about.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things wrong, but we can always point the finger, because you know, when you point the finger, you have 4 pointing back, 3 pointing back, right?
That's right.
And so we have to basically say, this is how we can help. These are how the issues that I have there, and let's work on them. You know, not every idea is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Not every dream is a great dream. You know, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a starfighter pilot. You know, there's no way it was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but so you have to realize that you have to be what you can, what you love to do, and move forward. You know, I'm an executive chef. I haven't been inside a kitchen as per se in a very long time, but that doesn't mean I'm not around the field, because I'm still consulting to people that are opening up the restaurant. That's what I've been doing for a good last while, and some other things. But I feel for the people that are coming in here. I see what they're saying. I see how they're doing. I look at things because of my experience in other trades that I did before, in other vocations. I look at things where people wouldn't look at. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I know Laredo needs some help, and I love Laredo. Laredo's my town. I moved back because of that. I remember growing up with a billboard that used to say, "Keep the buck in Laredo." And so I grew up with that. You know, I moved down here to open up a restaurant. Mm-hmm. I got caught up and I ended up becoming the national trainer for the SWAT team, and for that year it took me up. You know, and unfortunately it was a great thing that I did.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great athletes from Laredo and from Texas and across the U.S. that did very well, you know, so we were very proud of what we're doing. But now it's time here, and I'm not here kind of like saying, oh, I know more than you, let's fix it, because these are the problems that people come and say, oh, this is what's going on, how can we fix it?
Yeah. No. Everyone can add. Everyone can add to the equation.
Absolutely.
The more people's voices that are heard.
And we have to have more less insults and more conversational discord. You know, yeah, not having, but let's agree with this.
Yeah, even if we disagree on some things.
You know, let's move forward. Let's see where we can find a better solution, because there's always one around the corner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
For sure.
you know, people should not be, you know, the wool over their eyes anymore.
Yeah.
All right,
Pleasure.
folks. If you want to, how can they get a hold of you if somebody wants to help you?
Best place, well, we have our Facebook page, of course, which is at Dr. Tyler King for City Council District 6. We have an email address, which is tylerking4citycouncil@gmail.com. Instagram, which is at Dr. King, Dr. Tyler King. But most people reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram, but like us, emails there as well. And if we engage, I can give you my cell phone number as well. So.
Okay. Alrighty, folks. We'll leave you with this. Stay safe, be safe, and hydrate. It's still hot out there, and be careful until next time. Much peace.